Welcome everybody to the non-spoiler part of this review for The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince by Robin Hobb. This is Leon from the Reading Writing Corner, and if this is your first time here, welcome in, welcome in. We're going to talk about this lovely book, and if you've been here before, you know the drill. This story is part of a series called The Elderlings, and it's actually a novella and it's a prequel. And so I'm going to tell you for now. Now, about the series. The Elderlings are people who have been changed due to their connections to dragons. They've either consumed their blood or their scales. They're considered myths in this world until one day they start to return. Each series follows a different set of main characters. But their stories are so different that you don't need to read them in the set order. You can read the Livership trilogy or the Farseer trilogy first, then go back and read the other one. Then move on to the Tawny Man trilogy. Then from there, you go on to the Rain Wild Chronicles before moving on to the final one in the series that fits in the full trilogy. All of which are really good books. The ones I've read so far. What made me read this book is part of the Elderling series, and it would help me understand why the wit magic is treated terribly before moving on to the Farseer trilogy. If you want to know more about what that is, stay tuned for the spoiler review. So, long before the time of chivalry Farseer, there was another indiscreet member of the royal line, Princess Cautious Farseer. In defiance of her name, was headstrong and willful, destined to fall desperately in love where she ought not. The child she bore, a witted boy known as the Piebald Prince, rose to favor despite his questionable bloodlines. But the Dukes of the Sick Duchesses backed canny Farseer for the throne, and so both young men competed for power, but this was not their only struggle, for they both fell in love with the same lady. Such rivalry could end only in bloodshed. So, my non-spoiler review for it is, this is a tale of a princess that grew up wild and fell in love. She had a child that had many birthmarks upon his body, and that he gained the name Piebald. He grew up calm and learned. What happened to them both? Read to find out, or stay tuned for the spoiler section of this review. The setup of the characters were quick because of how little of the story there is, and the motives of each character is not all that clear. There are only two that we get real motives from, and that is the narrator and her son. This is narrated by an outside person looking in, and it says a little I and all that stuff. We'll get into that down below. The characters react to the situation in different ways. The princess acted out and did what she wanted without regard to her kingdom. The prince did what was expected of a prince to a certain point. The narrator wrote what she saw and what her son saw and nothing else. The genre is considered to be historical fantasy. Did this live up to my expectations? And it's a historical fantasy in another realm. So, did this live up to my expectations? Yes, it was enjoyable to learn more about the world of the Elderlings, the magic of the Farseer family, and the wit magic. Which character to relate to the most? No one. Which secondary character stood out the most? Redbird, the son of the narrator, for he decided to never tell a lie for his prince. What was more important, a character or the plot? The plot of the narrator is the most important as she tells the story. There is one voice and it did not affect my reading. Should you go and read this story? Yes, the Elderling series was wonderful and great, and I cannot wait to reread the Farseer trilogy and the Tawny Man series and the rest of them that I have not read yet. The world of Robin Hobb is wonderful, and to be in it is awesome. And it's one of those books that I didn't think I would like for how detail oriented the series is, and for the lore and stuff that it does a lot of world building and a lot of details. And I didn't think I would like such a heavy written book like that, but I did. So, please leave if you do not want to be spoiled in the spoiler part of this review. I will tell you to please leave a comment, like, or even a subscription if you want to see more non-spoiler reviews. Okay, did they go? Are they gone? I don't see them, so we'll move on. Okay, before we get into the characters mentioned in the series, I want to go over some lingo, which will not be gone over when we read the rest of the series, because unless it's different lingo. Because if you're here again for a new book, such as the first book of whatever I'm going to read next for this series, then you should already know the lingo. Farseer magic is a skill and allows one person with Farseer magic to read the minds of others. Don't really know that much about it that I can remember because it's been a long time since I've read the Farseer trilogy. So that's it. This is all that covers in here is the ability to read minds. Wit magic can connect to an animal and eventually put your soul into the animals, become one with them. The magic is referred to as beast magic as well. And they can, if they stay inside the animal for a very long time, it becomes impossible for them to return back to their original body and they melt with their animal. And it causes a lot of terrible things. If your beast that you're connected to dies, you become grieved and it's terrible. It's like ripping out a part of your heart. The Six Duchies is a kingdom where the story takes place, which is also the main focus of the stories. Buckkeep is the city in which the story takes place and the capital of the Six Duchies. Name sealing. The act of sealing a name to a child so that they exhibit those traits. So, in this book, you meet the main characters, side characters, and important ring characters. You got Queen Piebald, the mother of Princess Cautious. She and her husband, the king, did not seal Princess Cautious's name thoroughly. She died when she found out her daughter was pregnant outside of wedlock. King Viral, the father of Princess Cautious and ruler of the Six Sisters, he lived to be an old man even after losing his wife and daughter, and named his grandson King Emir. Redbird Truth Singer, a minstrel that only sang the truth because he grew up alongside Prince Charger as brothers. Now, his mother got pregnant with Redbeard only because her mother told her to, and her mother's never been given a name, she's just a mother. And it's like, you have to get pregnant because the princess is pregnant and you have to have the child around the same time as the child does, because in case you can swap the children out and put your son on the throne. And also instructed her to lie about who the father of her child was. And that was a bad move on the narrator's part. Should have never listened to her mother about any of it. Because all this stuff could have been avoided if she had not listened to her mother. Felicity, which is the narrator, she was chosen to be the companion to Princess Cautious when she was a child. And it was a great opportunity. Mother instructed her to make the child be practically in love with you and become, be somebody she can never separate from, be her confidant, be her one who lets her do things, be on her side at all times, nobody else's, and agree with her on everything, and that's what she did. And she lied about whom she slept with, had a child with, she did a lot of things, and it was part of the reason why Princess Cautious was a wild thing, part of the reason why Princess Cautious died, and part of the reason a lot of stuff happened is because she listened to her mother, Felicity, and she shouldn't have. So, Princess Cautious. There's a thing where you have to dunk the child in a thing of water, put sand over, dirt over top of them, in a way of like burying them in the dirt, and of course passing them over fire, like you're, burning them. And since her parents did not seal her name properly, she became a willful princess. Now, she did what she wanted, when she wanted, however she wanted. She even learned how to hunt and everything like that. And then she went to a market and I guess caught lust with a witted one called Loister, whom when she bought Loister and her spotted stud, she started having an affair with Loister, not caring that he was a wit magic user. She became pregnant with his child, and she was happy about it, but nobody else was happy about it. Not a single person was happy about it besides her. And her companion, since she was a child, Felicity, told her that Loister laid with Felicity as well. Because Felicity wasn't supposed to know that Princess Cautious laid with Loister. So, even though she caught them in the act, she never told Princess Cautious that she caught him in the act or saw them ever doing anything. So she thought he cheated on her, and he went to send the horse away to be sold. And when the horse went to be sold, the horse kicked back, and well, they killed the horse. And when they killed the horse, Loister tried to stop them from killing the horse, and he got killed too. And the princess ran down to save Loister, and he died in her arms. And because she died in her arms, they say that is this the reason why her son became Piebald, spotted with red marks all over his body. Yeah, and she died depressed because she didn't get to have her son. She didn't get to have Loister. Loister died, so she became depressed and died herself. She didn't even name her child. Felicity named her son Charger. So Prince Charger, aka Piebald Prince, after he was born, from the son of he was the son of Princess Cautious and the stable master Loister. He was born with birthmarks all over his body, including a raven on his arm. He became king because he loved to study and learn about his people. He had won over his grandfather, King Overall. And he made several mistakes in his rule. But the one thing he told Redbeard was never tell a lie. Ever. And Redbeard was his companion. They grew up together. And Redbeard never told a lie. Ever. Because of that, Charger's life was written down that way. What Charger did was that he elevated the witted people and everything, but the Six Duchies did not like that. So when they did not like that, Canny first year was not on the throne because it was who they backed up. They backed up Canny first year. They wanted Canny on the throne, and when he was not put on the throne, but Charger was, they're like, no, this is not right. And so because Charger and Canny both fell in love with a woman, both sides were at each other's throats. You had the Witted court and the Canny court, and somebody from the Canny court came out and killed a lot of horses from the Witted courts who were beast magic, who were their companions, bonded companions, and it devastated a lot of them. And then no, it was because somebody killed somebody. Hold on. I have it written down. Okay. So here's how it started. Lord Ulder was what started the war between the courts of Canny and Charger. He was killed by Lord Elquin. Lord Elquin was part of the Charger courts. Lord Ulder was part of the Canny courts. Now, it wasn't told why they did it, but Lord Crow of Black Earth, Lord Ulder's younger brother, they don't say, but he and people that he were with killed a lot of the bonded horses for the wit users in retaliation for the death of his older brother, Ulder. And because of that, we think Lord Elquin went ahead and kidnapped Lord Crow's daughter and then slain her in the horse stable. And King Charger didn't have no proof of any of this, so he didn't want to punish nobody over it because he had no proof. And Lady Whiffin, who the Canny and Charger fell in love with, was back and forth between the two of them. Lady Whiffen, the woman that both Canny Farseer and King in Waiting Charger first fell in love with, had them both fight over with gifts. Like Canny gave her gifts until she was won over. However, when the horses were killed, she sided with Charger and slept with Charger. And then when they found out that people from Charger's court killed the daughter, she was like, "How could you? You're cruel," and went with Canny. Canny Farseer, he wanted to become king instead of Prince Charger, who was born a bastard because Prince Charger's parents weren't married. He killed the Piebald prince because Canny does die. He is killed by Charger dies because Canny kills him, and Canny makes it look like Charger killed somebody else and then disappeared, which was not the case. Canny killed the person, and then killed Charger. And it was all because of how he handled the death of horses and a child being killed by the courts acting out. He even framed for the death of somebody. Yeah. Felicity slept with Copper Songsmith by enticing him to lie until she got pregnant. He never claimed the child as his, but he did take him on as an apprentice for the minstrels, and that's how he became a minstrel. You have the Duke of Burns and the Duchess of Faro and the Duke and Duchess of Tiff as one of the 6 duchesses. You also have the Duke of Challis, the Duchess of Chokes as well. There were more of the 6 of the duchesses, and the last 6 of the duchesses was Strategy Farseer, the Duke of Book, and the younger brother to King Viral. He wanted his son on the throne after Princess Cautious died from heartbreak. Felicity's mother, she tried to make Felicity do all kinds of things. At first, she listened to be Princess Cautious, everything, get pregnant with a child to support her, put her own child on the throne. Until Felicity said, "I'm not listening to you anymore, I'm abandoning you," which was the best thing to do. Lady Hope was the aunt of Princess Cautious on her mother's side, and she was called in to keep a watchful eye on Princess Cautious, or rather at that time, Queen in Waiting. They did not want her going to the man that got her pregnant because they thought it was an illicit affair, and this was their way of punishing her. Loister of Chalice, he had whip magic and was blind to a spotted stud. He had an affair with the princess and intended to stop someone from selling his horse, both the horse and himself were killed. His son, King Charger, had a son with Lady Whiffen, who they all thought was Canny's child, called Prince Courage. And the reason why Felicity, the narrator, knows this is because of the birthmark on his arm in the form of a raven. So she was like, Prince Courage, who's King Charger's son, who is the grandson of Princess Cautious, is on the throne. The rightful person is supposed to be on the throne. So there's that. It explains how one of the main characters and one of the others gets his magic from the whip magic. Because whip magic is, I guess, a testament through birthmarks. Not sure. There is one POV, and that is the narrator Felicity, if you haven't already caught on. My favorite character was Redbeard because he was as true to never telling a lie. He never told him. He even died trying to tell the truth because he wrote a song and he went to go sing it for Canny, and it was the truth of how the King Charger actually died and they killed him for it, saying he had whip magic, which he didn't. My most disliked character was Canny Farseer for doing what he did to take the throne. Like, killing your king is like treason, and then covering it up, and then killing anybody who disagreed with you. That's like terrible. That's a terrible thing. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay. It was told in chronological order with appropriate language for that time period that it was set in. The foreshadowing was in Princess Cautious' name not being name sealing ceremony not being done right. The mention of the spotted stud at the market. The suspense was on whether Redbeard would be able to tell the truth, get the truth out, or not, what truly happened to King Charger and the young man's death. The background is explained enough to understand only Redbeard, Princess Cautious, and Prince Charger, because... Oh, and Felicity. A little bit of Felicity, but not a lot, because Felicity's whole entire world revolved around Princess Cautious. The title of the book meant the reader would be taken to dive into the life of Princess Cautious, the Willful Princess, and the Piebald Prince, who is her son. The cover of the book shows the Willful Princess embracing the spotted stud in the woods. That's what my cover is. Which is just a dust jacket. What stood out as memorable was the fact that neither of the two main characters were similar in any way, even though they were mother and son. It goes to show that parents do not influence the children, it is their surroundings. My favorite passage from the story is Prince Courage Farseer. May he prosper and rule long. Is the son of the rightful King Charger Farseer, son of Queen-in-Waiting Cautious Farseer, daughter of King Viral and Queen Piebald Farseer, and grandson of Oyster of Chalice, Sibyl Master, and Witted One. My favorite quote: "Assassins come," he said to his minstrel. "This is no place for a songster. Flee, little brother, and sing ever true." This is what King Charger said to Redbeard Truesinger when he had people coming after him to kill him, when Candy came to kill him, and Redbeard hid up in a tree and witnessed it all. What I thought about the end of the book. It was sad because the only one to live through it all is the narrator telling the story. I did learn how the beast magic went from being something respected to something feared and killed over within the span of a novella. Because there was a lot of people who used their wit magic to, do things with animals that they had control over, that they could communicate with and bond to. And now, since everybody's feared about it, they are being killed, their head cut off and burned, and so they had to stop. What book did it remind me of? The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This novella could be read anywhere in the series, but I'm glad I read this only after reading 6 of the books. I'm going back to review all the books that I've read and will read in this series too. So, there'll be more. The book, as you know, is part of a series called The Elderlings. There are several sub-series within it that you should check out too. Which is, of course, the live ship trilogy, the Fraser trilogy, the Tawny Man's trilogy, the Rain Wild Chronicles, and of course the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. That's all. I rated this a 3.5 because it was not what I expected, and it was short with a single narrative that repeatedly reminded the readers that she was told to write only the truth as she knew it. Repetition. You don't need to repeat a lot of stuff in here. You don't. It takes up more words. You could have had other things going on. Could have expanded the world. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So, I will see you guys next illusion.